Welcome to Real Flix Reviews Movie News. This week we have Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston.
Hello.
So this week's question sounds a little bit obscure, but you'll find out after the break. It's, are we outside of the Beltway? And you'll find out what I mean after that in a bit. So apparently this summer has what they've dubbed the summer from hell, because most of the movies that have come out this season have completely bombed. What do you guys think?
Yeah, not an amazing time for the summer blockbuster, I guess, this season. Wonder Woman, definitely killed it, but
Wonder Woman.
From that, I'm trying to think of
Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
What's been out lately? Yeah, Guardians 2. That came out in the summer.
The Mummy.
Pirates.
Mummy was just awful. I'm trying to think of what else.
The new Pirates of the Caribbean movie.
That one actually did not too bad, if I remember right, from what they said.
No, yeah. Those.
But there wasn't anything that because usually every summer there's at least half a dozen movies I'm like, I want to see, and
Yeah.
there was maybe one, like Guardians of the Galaxy, I think was the only one I wanted to see. The Mummy I was apprehensive about, but excited. Turned out I was wrong. And that's really it.
I know the Dark Tower's not getting great reviews.
Oh, I forgot that movie came out.
I can't imagine that Annabelle Creation is any good. The Conjuring movie sucked ass. Girls Trip is doing great. Spider-Man's doing great. Atomic Blonde's doing great.
I thought Spider-Man was the lowest, one of the lowest something Spider-Man. I ran across an article a while ago that said the new one wasn't doing that good.
I think Willem Dafoe didn't do very well. It was kind of a shitty film.
Well, it did because it was a spectacle. It was like it was one of the first comic book movies anybody did.
That's true.
Well, excluding the one made in the 80s with Leah Thompson with a name that shall be not be mentioned.
And Flash.
Oh, that's right. Now, Flash was an old comic. The problem with Flash is it was a little bit obscure.
Well, for the not having a strong fan base that was supporting you, it was.
The only reason I love that movie is because the soundtrack is bitchin'. That's the only reason I've ever watched the Flash movie. You don't like all the
phallic symbols?
I try not to pay that much attention to it because I'm usually just enjoying the amazing soundtrack. So
yeah, no, they're definitely doing good with Homecoming. Their budget was $175. They've already grossed $307.
That worldwide or domestic?
That's USA.
Wow,
$307 million domestic. Yeah,
good for them. I'm still hoping for a better.
Damn good movie.
I still hope that Marvel will get the rights back to Venom and Carnage so we can actually have Spider-Man versus those two. Because the new kid I've heard does really good, so I think it'd be fun.
I like it a lot, yeah. It's like if John Hughes did a Spider-Man movie.
So excuse me because I'm going to completely butcher this name. Ryan Johnson and Mark Hamill urge fans to avoid Star Wars 8 marketing. Finally, somebody's telling Ryan to do what he does all the time. This is good. Maybe it's
I definitely don't have to be prompted for that kind of thing.
Maybe it's because of my age, but I'm just not excited about Star Wars. I mean, I'm so jaded at this point. There's no movies that really make me go, I can't wait to see. I think the last one was The Hobbit, and you kind of had to, I kind of put the Technicolor rainbow in my mouth.
Well, I gotta give some credit to South Park. When Disney was releasing the most recent Star Wars, they came up with something called member berries.
Oh, yes, I heard about this.
In South Park. And that's basically what that whole film was. And I'm talking about the most recent one, whatever the frig it was, 7.
It was a study in nostalgia, yeah.
Yeah, that's really what it was. And it's like, oh, do you remember when the ship went up and around and down and through the thing? I remember. And then with Han and Chewie, it was all, oh, I remember. And it was just all over the place. And so a lot of films were like that. And I'm hoping if they move away from that, of basically trying to get everyone to feel nostalgic about their first time they saw Star Wars and how they felt and all this.
I think
You get off that
Right.
bullshit and create some new shit. Okay?
I
That's all I'm saying.
I wonder if they're going to make
Well,
people
you know,
remember the
it's-
first time they boughtTar Wars, because I've bought at least 3 copies of that.
I
damn
mean, if they
thing
get
over
rid of the
years.
stupid
It's I
NSYNC
think
Backstreet
I
Boy
think
boy out of them, I'll
we
buy
well,
'em.
we've gotten we've gotten a little bit spoiled with the way we've sort of been consuming our fantasy things lately. You know, a la Game of Thrones or something like that. It's sort of weekly, or it's like a year before we get to see the next season. When you get something like Star Wars and it means so much to people, from one week to the next, if there's one crappy episode, I'm kind of forgetting about it by the time the next week's episode comes out.
True.
When you have this hour-and-a-half movie that comes out like every 3 or 4 years, the stakes are much, much higher. So if it's not great, then you're left with that bad taste in your mouth, and potentially kind of ruins the franchise in your head.
Whoa,
So
dude, what are you doing in the movie
narrative
theaters?
is much harder to tell.
I think the worst part about it, I totally agree with you, Ryan, but the other thing is the fact it's Star Wars. You've got 3 or 4 generations of people who have grew up watching it. You have so much hype. Star Wars has more hype behind it than any movie series in history. I mean, look at Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I know
Oh,
more
God.
people that hate 1, 2, and 3 because of Jar Jar Binks than anybody else, than any other character in any other movie series. So that's the problem when you do realize that Star Wars is going to have some bad, crappy moments, but yeah, I think that's the problem. I don't
And
think
it's going to be 3 years before it's redeemed. So I can't necessarily blame him for sort of going like James said, the member berries route.
hell. I'd even say Aliens, which in my opinion, 1, 2, or 3. 1 and 2 specifically, 3 okay, being one of the greatest trilogies of all time, did not nearly have as much hype in the other movies as Star Wars has.
Yeah, and I will say, just for the record, that the original, I think it's the original Latin for nostalgia, was considered an affliction. Okay?
Yeah.
It literally was considered like the disease of nostalgia, like this soft-heartedness towards things of the past.
Yeah, I remember when he was a baby. Now I'm whooping his butt.
I totally agree. Unfortunately, it's going to get even worse when people, our generation, or Jim's is my generation, get older, and it's just going to start getting worse. Hey, we're going to do a He-Man reboot. We're going to be doing this, and
We've already started to eat our own tail. Seriously, to the point where we're going to have such a tight loop of we're just going to literally remake a movie that was made last year. Like, that's where I almost see this like natural conclusion. Like, it's going to be the
Isn't that what
Spaceball
they did
scene
with the
where
Hulk?
at least hopefully it's going to give them an opportunity
Yeah,
every
basically.
year to do it better.
but it's going to be like the
Did
Spaceball
it with
scene
the
where
Hulk.
they fast forward to now and we're watching now.
Yeah,
But
I
we
really
can't
hope.
go back to then because it just happened just then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have any hope for movies. I mean, I think, granted, the problem with being kind of a movie buff is you and I, James, myself, and Ryan have like almost 100 years worth of films to choose from, and we have the best of every generation because really that's what survived.
Yeah.
So the problem is we don't really see the chaff in like the 50s and 60s. We always see that there's the stuff that rose to the top. And so maybe, like
I don't know. I don't mind some driller killer.
so it'll be interesting to see what happens. But there's just, to me, I'd rather watch 12 Angry Men than, well, almost all of the Star Wars movies except the original 3.
That's
Yeah.
because you're a psychopath. 12 Angry Men. What a fucking weird movie to say against Star Wars.
I mean, you do Buffalo 66.
I mean, that's just going to get a real hard on for Vincent Gallo.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
out
we do
there.
have a Facebook page. Go to facebook.com/RealFlixReviews. You can also catch us on iTunes, Podbean, Stitcher, and more. So, My question was, are we outside of the Beltway? So I was gone last week for training, and there were two people from the Midwest, and I was having the conversation how I hope my son doesn't inherit my dark sense of humor. Like, I found some of the torture scene in the Saw movies hilarious.
They were.
And all of
They
a
are.
sudden, I became a California pariah, and nobody would talk to me for the rest of the day. And this is what I kind of thought of the next couple of days. Are we, and we I mean kind of the royal we as movie fans and movie buffs, are we so jaded by the amount of crap we actually watch that nothing phases us? Like, parts of Saw was fucking hilarious. I watched Inglourious Bastards with James, and he and I were the only people in the theaters laughing the entire 2 hours of that movie nonstop.
It's a freaking great movie.
Yeah, well, Inglourious Bastards was a bloody hilarious movie.
But kind of
But no,
I mean,
I don't think so. I think if anything, it's I don't know, given at least me, given more of an appreciation for. And look, not to say that I'm some fucking, all out, all in, movie buff who knows everything in the world about movies. I've seen a few thousand movies, so I feel like I can speak with some kind of, pompous attitude about it. But
Sure.
I come to appreciate it more. I laugh more at the things because I respect it more as an art form. That the people in those horror movies are not actually dying. They're probably having a great time filming it.
Yeah.
It's more of the celebration that nobody died in order to get this type of entertainment than saying like, oh, we're just glorifying people dying.
Now, do you think this is because, everybody here is from California? Do you think that could be, difference between, say, California and a Midwest sensibility? Because it really struck me, like, literally everybody I became a pariah because of saying, like, torture scenes in movies are generally hilarious. Like, there's that scene in the second Hannibal Lecter movie where he's serving the guy his brains.
Yeah,
that
was in
scene was
Hannibal.
kind of funny.
I was laughing. I just told a friend
Yeah.
about that one.
So, that's what it was kind
It
of,
was funny just because Ray Liotta's reactions to it.
Yeah.
which he's one of
This
my
is
favorite
good.
actors.
Can I have some more?
So that's what it kind of made me wonder, because I was saying yes and no. I think you two, specifically me a little bit, we're willing to give things a try that maybe most people aren't. I don't know, honestly, a whole lot of people, and I mean this out of all due respect, that have watched Super and Buffalo 66. I do think the redeeming qualities of both movies are just not really my type of movie.
So I've said
Okay,
this
fair enough.
for a few years as somebody who's seen a lot of movies, and I'm talking a lot of movies, is you got to walk through a lot of shit to find the gold. And by that saying, I mean, I've seen a lot of shitty ass movies, some of which most people won't even watch. I mean, horror films, some of the creepiest one are Thai horror films. Those get really way out there. But there's funny things in it. If
By
you
the
don't
way,
know what
I
I'm
think-
talking about, go watch Sick Nurses and get back to me on that.
I think the
That's a
Asian
challenge.
I think the Asian horror movies are scarier than any American-based movie.
I mean, I was laughing
Oh,
through quite a bit
hell
of
yeah.
Ichi the Killer, and John was too. I mean,
Yeah.
So
we'll
do you
pick that
think
one of these days.
So
You're welcome,
so
Laura.
here's the other question: is the fact that we watch movies at least once a week, if we have time, maybe more. So do you think Ma and Pa Kettle, who are able to watch one maybe every couple of weeks because how busy they are, is it that? Because I'm trying to figure out what makes us, at least according to the people I was training with, twisted.
I would say the
Well-
fact that hold on, I got a point on this one. Is most of the people that don't go and see a lot of movies or have the time or the willingness to watch things outside of the mainstream movie circles aren't gonna end up watching things like I just mentioned, like Ichi the Killer or Sick Nurses or Driller Killer, things like that, or really get
Saw?
into I was gonna say the Saws or I Spit on Your Grave films that I mean are kind of more of the twisted, funny humor ones. Like I mean, or the Hostels. There's quite a few parts of the Hostels.
Even
that
was
were
it the
pretty
log
funny.
cabin? Not
A Cabin in the Woods, you mean?
Yeah, Cabin in the Woods.
Yeah, I mean, but
Thank you.
that's kind of where I'm saying is like where we step outside of the box is we're willing to see those. And you bring up Ma and Pa Kettle, I mean, they're going to be like, oh, I want to watch a movie. What's out? And they look at the blockbuster films instead of going for the things that are hidden on the shelves like we used to do at Blockbusters or the mom and pop stores.
And the reason that we used to do that is because we already saw the other shit.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
'cause
if you're kind of current on movies, then it's like, okay, well, I've seen all the new stuff because I had 9 hours to kill.
Yeah.
Because we used
You
to
know,
go
so
from
now
A
what?
and
Well, I guess
to
I'm just
Z.
going to start going through these movies here.
Yeah. What's on the bottom shelf right there? Oh, that looks
Like,
interesting.
And, you know, look, I used to
Redneck
work at
Zombies?
Blockbuster, and I used to get 5 free movies a week.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of work through all in a couple of days. So after that, it's like, well, I guess I'm just going to start working my way down a list, or
Yeah,
I'll read the back of the box if it looks interesting, or I'll rent it.
because that was when I actually worked at Hollywood Video, so technically Ryan's the enemy. I
Yeah,
did the
fuck
same.
you.
I did the same thing. You know, when I was closing at night, I'd pop in a movie. I'd grab a couple of movies at night, and so I've watched a ton of movies just because the fact it was something that I did for a living for a while.
Yeah.
So it just
So I think that is where we get to the part of that, you know, we've been able to move past the blockbuster ones. We've watched the ones that are kind of on the fringes of blockbuster ones, like Shoot 'em Up. Shoot 'em Up would be one that is on the fringes of a blockbuster film. You got high production value and things like that, but once you've seen and caught up on all those, then you got the ones that were kind of like either straight to DVD release, or they were out at the dollar theater releases, where it's, you know, the lower grade, not necessarily lower grade stories and movie production, just something that wasn't promoted as much.
okay.
Yeah, or even foreign films, or
Yeah.
English films that were produced in a foreign country, you know, hardly make their way to the bigger shelves or
Chuck
to
the
a lot
Fighter.
of screens. And,
Yeah.
you know, so a lot of it is the community also, where I'm going to call James and be like, dude, have you seen this movie? You know, and it's this awesome feedback that we get between us all. Like, no, I haven't even heard of that shit.
Like, yeah.
You know, but based off a recommendation, I'll watch it. You know, but you know, hey, if I watch a crappy movie, I'm probably not going to call James and be like, dude, you should watch this piece of shit movie I just seen.
Although we have kind of done that, like, here's a really weird piece of shit movie that's actually kind of funny.
Yeah,
I don't
well,
think it was meant to be.
I was gonna say James has
But
done
those
that
are
to me.
those movies get passed around just as much, though.
Yeah.
You know, like Troll. What is it? Troll 2? It's like the supposed to be the worst movie of all time. It gets passed around.
Yeah.
Like the Ring movie. Like, oh, hey, you have to watch this thing. It's gonna fucking kill you.
I used to get text by James at 2 a.m. Hey, you got to check this movie out. It sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you find this
that's
movie?
When you have that kind of sick sense of humor, those are the phone calls that I get from James. Like, dude, you got to watch this.
And
But I gotta say this one. Hold on. One of the most weird out there movies that I've ever seen actually came from Ryan. Hey, have you heard of Ichi the Killer? No, I haven't. Dude, watch that shit. And what I do, I had John watch it with me afterwards too.
See, the problem is I liked that movie.
And I
didn't
liked
see-
that movie. Don't get me wrong. I think I bought it too.
That was a fucking crazy cool movie.
And we're gonna pick it for the show one of these days, guys out there.
I know, right?
So it's interesting. Besides the fact, and unfortunately, I think I'm a little awkward because I get really excited about movies. And the fact that I don't understand really why people don't get excited about movies that I'm probably one out of like 20 people in the United States have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. So interesting. Well,
Yeah, we got quite a bit of a discussion there, didn't
yeah,
we?
see, I was so
And I want to throw this one out there. So I think this is premature. This is actually supposedly this is not confirmed, but if it is, I think it's a premature thrown in the hat. Ben Affleck, according to Casey Affleck, his brother, is not going to continue the Batman. So I think, I mean, I didn't like his Batman. We all discussed our issues with it, but I think it's a premature move by him.
I see. I don't know what was worse
Yeah.
about the last Batman. I don't know if it was him or if it was
Superman.
the script. I mean,
I think it was a mix
really,
of both,
because
honestly.
Ben Affleck, as much crap as we give him, he's a better actor than that.
Yeah.
And that movie, it was kind of phoned home. So I can't blame him for that. Because I don't think anybody could have done, I don't think Jack Nicholson could have done a better job in that movie. And he's an amazing actor.
I'm gonna say Jack Nicholson is the Joker.
Yes, but in this movie, he'd suck at it.
At being the Joker or being Batman?
Pick
Well,
a role.
I think it wasn't even necessarily the sort of the lines or the delivery or anything. It was really just kind of the subject matter that got a little bit convoluted and sort of changed. kind of some of the fundamentals of the character a little bit.
As in, I kill people
you-
with guns.
I mean, yeah, that kind of stuff. I mean, look, we've all seen stories where Batman gets real dark, but to the point where he might just be kind of breaking somebody's legs.
Yeah.
He uses his hands,
or
not
something.
firearms. We all want to see Batman torture people.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, come on, really?
The branding thing, and get
the
people
branding.
off it,
Sorry.
and then launching. No, let's go. There's other problems.
The branding thing is. I actually was like, okay, that's permissible. This is the older Batman, the one who just doesn't care as much. That part to me wasn't a problem. It was those rotating, dueling Gatling guns of death that he was blowing up vehicles with. It was like, what comic
Right.
book is that coming from? Besides the fact that wouldn't even work. I mean,
But you still have the section in the Dark Knight where he actually takes his tank vehicle and starts blowing up cars in a parking lot too. I mean, they were parked and hopefully nobody left their baby in them, or dog, I guess. Anyways, but he blew those things up. I mean, that's a large amount of property damage. I come out, my car's freaking up through the roof. I would be pissed.
and he's bitching about Superman for destroying buildings.
Exactly.
See, I know I'm kind of bummed though. I wanted to see him in the Justice League movie. On the other hand, I don't really blame him for cutting bait. I mean, a lot of people gave him crap
they've already
over
filmed the Justice League movie. He's in it.
it. I meant the next one then.
I
I
think
mean,
it's-
who knows?
Well, the
I
question.
still think it's him throwing in the hat too soon. And I mean, I understand that there's a large fan base out there, us kind of included, that gave him a crap ton of shit, as John was saying. But I mean, I think it's just a really premature by him.
It's probably one of these things that he's going to see what the reception is, because if it goes bad, he's going to say, I'm cutting bait. I'll jump on another Oscar.
You know what?
movie.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Just like, oh, this really wasn't what I had in mind, or something like that. But like I mentioned before, I mean, he wasn't the problem with that movie.
No,
it was
really
many,
wasn't.
many other things collected together.
He
I
was-
agree. I don't think he wasn't. an issue.
If you had 100 problems with that movie, he was number 99. I mean,
Yeah,
really.
I think what really happened is, and this happens a lot with films, is you get a director that wants the actor to go one way, and then you get the actor wanting to play it the way that he feels it should be played, and generally the actor loses to the director.
My other question on that is it to do with the editing too.
Yeah, but I mean the director has a lot to do with the editing and
yeah.
things like that. So I mean,
Right, or just the no, we need you to play it this way. But yeah, I mean, like the certain editing things, like I don't know if he knew. I mean, I'm sure he read the script. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what kind of conversations they must have had if there was in fact a problem with the style of character.
and I
or
think
something. Because I know that Affleck's a fan. So
yeah,
Sorry.
I was just gonna say, and I think part of it, I don't know if John meant it that way, but I kind of caught it in what he was saying, is that he could be testing the waters by telling Casey, "Hey, throw this out there that I'm quitting. See what hoopla comes out of it, and if it's good or bad, he's going to make a decision that right."
I think it's
maybe.
I think it's a combination between that and he'll see what the reaction is to the Justice League movie. Because really, as big of a star he is, having a couple of really box office bombs, I don't think the Batman one was. I don't think would be good good for his career. The good and bad side about Batman is us. I'd say we're the best friends and the enemies because we'll bitch nonstop, but we're also forgivable. We had Val Kilmer, we had George Clooney. I mean, if you look at those movies in the history of Batman movies, the ones those two were in were the worst.
Yeah. I mean,
But-
you had Keaton and Bale, who are the best so far.
So I think we're also really forgiving, but it takes us time. So we'll see. I mean, I agree. I'd really hate to see him leave.
Yeah, I think it's a strange thing
Yeah.
that he did, that he's putting it out there like that. But I mean,
well, I think that James might be right. It's just one of those things. Hey, let's float this, see what the reaction is.
yeah, I'm actually hoping that's what it is, and I hope that he gets enough people jumping on the thing saying, "Hey, we were willing to give you a shot." You know?
So the question is, if he leaves, who would you want to see play Batman?
No one right now.
Oh, dude, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, right now, I don't want to see anybody play Batman right now.
Because I have funny ones. Like, can we have Jean Reno? Ron Perlman?
I think I'd go with Dwayne Johnson over Ron Perlman. Do you smell what Batman's cooking?
Would you
like some of Batman's strudel?
Oh, that would be hilarious. So Kate Blanchett is going to star in a Lucille Ball biopic, according to what I've read.
You know,
And it's by Amazon too.
I really gotta say, I don't love Lucy. I mean, I really don't. I mean, I think she was a fantastic comedy actress for the time, but I mean, there was better than her, and I mean, she just got annoying.
If you want to
after a
look
while.
up
I mean,
something,
she's like the Peggy Bundy of that era.
if you want to look up something interesting though, and how much stroke she really had, look up when they sold Desi Lou. You'll see what I mean. It's actually, she wasn't just another pretty face. I mean, she was very interesting in what they did, because if I remember correctly,
Well, yeah, her
studio.
story is crazy.
Yeah.
If it's about her background and story, I'll watch it. I mean, it may be something on a Sunday afternoon.
Well, they
when
said it's a biopic. They're not remaking I Love Lucy.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'll watch it if it's on like a Sunday afternoon and I have to clean the house.
I mean, if it's like how they did Ray, I think that was a fantastic biopic, is what they did with Ray. I'd be
They
open to
broke the
watching this.
mold with that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting jaded at this point. Well, I'm getting really jaded at my age, but biopics, and they just keep doing it and keep doing it. I'll watch it. It'll no way it'll be good as Ray.
If it's an interesting person, then it's usually an interesting movie. So it's biopics.
I mean,
sort of live or die off the person's reputation. You know?
Do have a lot of biopics. You got some of the best ones I would say out there is A Beautiful Mind. We said Ray.
Yes.
Some of the ones that weren't as great.
Capote.
You have
Imitation
Walk the
Game.
Line. You want a bad one? Watch Walk the Line.
Walk the Line kind of rubbed people the wrong way, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if he did more coke during that movie, and I'm talking to you, Joaquin, it might be better.
So I recently heard something interesting, is they were going to do a biopic of Thurgood Marshall, who was one of the justices of the Supreme Court, if I remember correctly, and I'm sorry if I'm wrong. I think he was, if not the first, one of the first African-American judges on the Supreme Court, which I think that would be pretty bomb. I would watch that. That would be an interesting story.
Yeah.
And really, when you're watching the biopic, that's what you want to see. You want to see an interesting story. You're not going to watch, Ma and Pa Kettle go to town. That would be boring.
Yeah. I don't know. I did kind of like the Beverly Hillbillies, but all right.
You just like
I
the
enjoyed
cement
that.
pond. I mean, come on.
Can we put a little counter up at the bottom of the screen when we post this that has a Ma and Pa Kettle counter?
That would be cool.
Only if you're willing to do the editing.
Anyway.
So
Put it up like Blind Date, and John says Ma and Pa Kettle in 3, 2, 1.
No, I want to do it like South Park when they said the word shit. Just say it as many times as I can.
Yeah,
in 30
exactly.
minutes.
Right.
Any final parting comments?
No.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think anything.
Wrap it up.
Yeah.
Damn the man, save the empire.
Well, as long as you kill the roofers.
So, ladies and gentlemen, for Jonathan Charney, James Stevens, and Ryan Preston, thank you for watching.
Goodbye.